Van Nistelrooy is doing an absolutely woeful job with Leicester. They've lost 10 of their last 11 matches. Steve Cooper looked to have been doing a decent job leaving them in 16th, and Van Nistelrooy is making the club look rotten. And I believe the rot started at the very beginning of the season, when Maresca left to Chelsea, offer which he couldn't really refuse. Leicester fans weren't even sure he was that good at times last season with the ultra possession football. And then summer rolls around and they're looking for a new manager. There's three names being linked a lot. David Moyes, known for a 4-2-3-1 defensive brand of football. Steve Cooper, who they ultimately got, who plays a 4-2-3-1, bit more pragmatic, mixed style of play. And also Graham Potter, who was known for playing a three-back at Brighton, quite attacking, quite expansive. Three different styles of football. So instantly thinking, what is Leicester's strategy? And I'll say Cooper did okay with them. He left them in 16th until they sacked him. And I was really confused at this because a newly promoted side being outside of the drop zone is quite good. But Van Nistelrooy comes in. He had a great season at PSV for a couple of seasons. He came in the summer as Manchester United's assistant coach to Ten Hag, and things seemed quite good. But what has transpired has been awful. A 4-0 home defeat to Everton, a 2-0 home defeat to Crystal Palace, and most recently a 4-0 loss to Brentford really caps off how poor his reign has been. The squad morale seems to have been absolutely shot. A key player in Fatawu is out for the season, and in that match most recently, Hermansen and Samare had a bit of a scrap or a verbal argument on the pitch. And this is awful because I remember last season when Sheffield United's Vinny Souza and Jack Robinson had a bit of an argument on the pitch, and it doesn't bode well. 2.3 goals conceded per match makes Leicester's defence the leakiest this season, even worse than Southampton, and we know how bad they've been. 488 touches in the opposition box makes them the second worst team in the Premier League for penetrating opposition defences, and I'm not surprised because you look at their front line from the last match against Brentford and I'm seeing instant alarm bells. Vardy up front is 38, he's still got pace on him. On the left wing there's 35-year-old Jordan Ayew, and on the right wing there's 32-year-old Bobby Divock-Reid. That isn't a front three that screams dynamism, that screams beating their man, getting to the byline, getting a good ball into the box. And to combat an old Ayew and an old Reid out on the wings, Mavedidi's sat on the bench and so is Buonanotte. Why aren't either of those playing? Because they know how to beat a man, they've got a bit more pace and dynamism, and there's a reason why Premier League clubs in Fulham and Crystal Palace got rid of Reid and Ayew in the summer. At CDM, Samare and Ndidi are both safe options. It's probably the most defensive midfield that Leicester could really play, but I spoke about Samare earlier on. I don't think he's a very good player. Leicester's demise sort of goes hand in hand with when Samare joined the club, and I'm not blaming him as such, I'm just saying he's not up to scratch. The level has dropped whilst he's been at the club, and he didn't even play that much last season when they got promoted, so why is he playing? Skip and Harry Winks are both on the bench. Winks got them promoted last season. He was pivotal in that deep-lying anchor role in midfield. Skip has also got some good pedigree behind him. Get Samare out of the team, get one of them to him. But this is where I sympathise a little bit for Van Nistelrooy, because look at the centre-backs at his disposal. He played Wout Faes and he played Akolai. Both players who I believe are championship quality. Behind them it's Vestergaard or it's Connor Cody, both of which maybe in the past were Premier League quality, especially Connor Cody when he got Wolves promoted as the centre-back of a back three. But they're both old, they're both immobile, they're both not Premier League ready, and you know, Wout Faes, I feel like he makes a mistake every single game. And Akolai, let's speak about him. So for Brentford's first goal against Leicester, Damsgaard had the ball on the edge of the box. It looks like he's not really going anywhere because Leicester are quite compact, but he plays a ball just straight through the centre of Leicester's centre-backs. Akolai is stood flat-footed, he's not anticipating the ball to go behind him, and Visser just taps the ball into the back of the net. I would be absolutely raging if I was a Leicester fan, because why are both centre-backs allowing the ball to go past them? I'm definitely blaming Akolai for this because it was his side and the ball was going towards him. But when you've got Vestergaard and Cody as the substitutions, you've got to sympathise, as I say, a little bit for Van Nistelrooy. And then I also want to come on to the fourth goal, because initially it's very, very poor defending. Again, a Brentford player is allowed to come in, take the shot, and then Samare tries to clear the ball. Does he? I don't even know what he's trying to do. The shot ultimately goes in from Carvalho, but Samare doesn't track back, he doesn't try and defend. Hermansen has a massive go at him. And as I say, there's turmoil in this Leicester ranks where Samare doesn't look to be giving 100% for the club. Hermansen is showing his disbelief at this by getting frustrated, potentially getting them both out the firing line, or definitely Samare, because I do not want to see that from a player at my club. And as I say, Van Nistelrooy is used to playing a possession-based style of football with better quality players in terms of the division that they're in. He's been brought into a relegation dogfight where Leicester were in 16th. They weren't doing amazing, don't get me wrong, but they were above the relegation zone. But all of a sudden, they're the second most likely team to get relegated. Van Nistelrooy hasn't done a huge amount with the style of play. He's stuck with Cooper's 4-2-3-1, but I think the style of football has digressed. I believe he has to go. Who comes in for him? Because Leicester's managerial strategy seems to be all over the place. As I say, they went for Maresca, and then they got Steve Cooper in, who's not polar opposite, but very different. And then they went for a bit more of a possession style in Van Nistelrooy again. I look at the squad, I don't think it's really set up for a possession style of football. Now, I've come up with 3 candidates, and might be a bit rogue, but let's go into them. First off is Sean Dyche. Good at Burnley for the most part, good at Everton for the most part. Kept them both up in circumstances where a lot didn't believe that they'd stay up. He knows how to get a good 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 direct brand of football installed at a team in quick time. Gary O'Neill is a shout which probably wasn't expecting. I'm not even 100% sure on it myself. He had success at Bournemouth where they weren't expected to stay up. He had success at Wolves where they had a lot of issues going on at the club. There was a lot of bad publicity. So I believe O'Neill could definitely come in and make a better impact than what Van Nistelrooy's doing. And then Rafa Benitez is a manager who's out of work at the moment. I'm just going to leave it there because he's done well in the past. He's a bit old, but it might get an effect. Or worst case scenario, they need to beg Steve Cooper to come back. Hope he keeps them up. If he doesn't, I feel like he'd be a good manager to get them back up. So I'm going to leave it there on Leicester and their woeful season and looking like they're going to get relegated. Let me know down in the comments, should Van Nistelrooy go? Who should they get in to replace him? Where do Leicester go from here? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.